Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well today. I have a bit of a fun story time for you guys today. I'm having to ask this question just in my life so much. And that question is, why/how did you move to Italy? So I wanted to take some time today to cover that. In a couple weeks, I'll cover why and how I moved to Spain. But since Italy was the first place in Europe that I moved to, I wanted to talk about that. A couple weeks ago, I did a video on how you can move to Europe, but I wanted to share my experiences so you guys can kind of get a feeling as to like what it actually looks like. I'm also going to be doing a video soon on how to get an apartment in Spain or Italy. Let me turn off my volume on my computer. But yeah, let's get into it. And I hope you guys like this story. It's a bit of a long one, so tuck in. I'm gonna try and give you guys the condensed version. Okay, so the first time, like the very first time I ever went abroad, besides Canada and the Bahamas, which don't count, was in 2015. So I was 20 years old, and that was the first time I ever went abroad, and that was to Italy, and that was for my study abroad program. So I was in college, like I had been studying theater at school, and I decided that I did not want to study theater any longer because I really just wasn't super keen on my program. I didn't get along with the director of the program really well. They were never going to let me into like the specific program that I wanted. I was literally told that was because I had blonde hair and blue eyes, and they didn't need another girl with blonde hair and blue eyes in the program. Also, my eyes are green, so just saying. Anyways, so I decided I was gonna leave the theater program. I was like 2 classes away from getting a minor in theater, but one of the classes that I had to take was another production and performance class, which meant that I had to give another 100 hours to the theater department. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not gonna do it. So I decided to drop that, and I knew I wanted to do something in like either public relations or marketing or journalism. I knew that was kind of like the route that I wanted to go. But I knew I didn't really want an office job. I was like, okay, well, let's just see like what I can get out of this. So I started off, this was like in the middle of my transition. Like I had to finish up a couple classes, but I picked up a class in public relations, right? Or no, actually, I lied. That's not true. I did pick up this class in public relations, but I wasn't sure which course I was going to do yet. But before I even did this, I decided that the College of Journalism and Communications, which is the people who do, like, which is the school that does, the college that does journalism, School of Journalism, School of Marketing, a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that's that school. And I knew I wanted to be part of that college. So I was like, you know what? They're doing a study abroad program to Italy. I've always wanted to go to Italy. I'm going to go meet some really good friends, study my first semester of journalism in Italy, really like kind of like separate myself from the College of Theater and eat a lot of pizza. So that's what I did. So I went over and I took a class in like video journalism. It was like a video journalism class, and then it was a public relations class, I think. I don't even remember at this point. I took 2 classes, and it was 2 months long, and it was one of the best experiences I have ever done. Honestly, like I would suggest to anybody who is in university or in college and doesn't really know what they want to do, but knows they want to explore and travel, if you can afford to do a study abroad program, even if it's just like a month long, a semester, you don't have to do a whole year. Sometimes you can even do like 2-week semesters abroad, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. I think that it's really important. I made some of the best friends I've ever had. I sound like one of these dramatic study abroad girls, but it literally changed the course of my life. It actually did. And so from there, I went back home, back to school in Florida. I went to the University of Florida, and I entered into the College of Journalism and Communications program. So in the College of Journalism and Communications, my first semester, I took a lot of like the pre-professional courses, what they call them. So you had to take X, Y, and Z. I took a public relations class. I took like the first 2 weeks and I dropped it because I was like, I hate this. Like, I hate this so much. So I dropped that and switched into the journalism class, because I really liked my video journalism class that I taken in Italy. So I switched to that. This is also like the story of my college career, which you guys probably don't need, but it explains why I was able to move to Italy, so I'm getting there. So then I switched, got into the broadcast journalism program that I wanted to, did that for about a year. And then once that year was over, it was now summer again, so it had been a full year since I had gone to Italy and then come back. And I decided that I was going to go back for the summer. I'd made a lot of friends over there, really enjoyed my time. At the time I was dating a guy that I'm no longer with. Thank goodness. Anyways, by the time I was dating a guy, and so I wanted to go back and like live in Italy for a couple months and just enjoy the summer, blah, blah, blah. I go to the summer and I loved it so much. Some things happened and I ended up wanting to stay to support a friend. And I'll just give the condensed version because I don't want to give their whole life story away. But anyway, so I ended up staying because I wanted to support this friend. And in the meantime, another friend that I had made had offered me a job at her travel company. And her travel company was called Florence for Fun. It's no longer in business, but it was like, I don't know if you've ever studied abroad, you've probably done like Bus to Alps, or there's a whole like bunch of them. These like European tour companies that take study abroad students on weekend trips, you know, when they're not in class. So I was working for them, but not in sales, because sales was like not my thing. Still, I really still don't consider sales my thing, even though I work in sales as a travel advisor, but I don't consider myself like a saleswoman by any means. Although I do like now get a thrill out of the sale. I'm like, yeah, biggest month yet. You know, I get excited about it now, but at the time I was like, absolutely not. Like, I will be a tour guide. I will do all sorts of other things, but I am not doing sales. So anyways, cutting to the chase, she hired me on. I was doing office work, like admin work. I was running their blog, kind of managing like student interns, all sorts of stuff like that, mostly like doing newsletters, stuff like that, which is kind of what got me into my blog. So I was working on their blog and I'd already had my own. I hadn't really known like what to do with my blog quite yet though. And I was still in uni was the other thing. I was still in school because I didn't drop out and I had like a year left to go. But since I was in a journalism major now, all of my classes or most of my classes could be taken online. So I did 2 semesters all online while living in Italy. So technically I was studying abroad, but really I was all just living there. And I was also taking Italian classes, which is how I got a visa to live in Italy, because I was taking classes in Italian. So I was also a student in Italy. So I was doing both. And as a student in Italy, you get to work 20 hours a week. So that's kind of like how that worked. But I was also like sort of contracted. So I didn't really like work 20 hours necessarily. I mean, I probably did work about 20 hours a week, but it's weird. There's like plenty of workarounds. So that's kind of how that went. I also was doing stuff online. I was doing like freelance social media work, all that stuff. That's kind of how I made money. I was extremely poor at one point. But I also like did not have, like, Florence was a very, very, very cheap place to live in. Like, I lived in the center of town and I lived in like I think it was technically a 3-bedroom, but there was like a spare room like behind the laundry room that one of my roommates lived. He like didn't have a door. So we like made it a 4-bedroom, but I only paid like $250 a month and I was behind my favorite bar at the time. So like living expenses were really affordable. And I think like I paid like maybe like $25 a month on electricity. I wish my living expenses here in Spain were as cheap as they were in Italy, because they were so economical. It's kind of like mind-blowing that they were that cheap. So yeah, that's kind of like how I moved. And I just sort of like ended up like working for this company. I did a lot of traveling. I did not do as much traveling as I wanted to though, just because like I was poor, I was broke, and also just like things going on, you know, you sort of like when you live in Europe, you get like like time I feel like just gets away from you. That's anywhere, obviously, but like, you know, you go and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go to Paris this weekend, and then you wait a couple weekends, and the next thing you know, you only have 4 weeks left of your time there, and you know, you don't want to go away every weekend because you want to see your friends, and it becomes this whole thing. So when I moved to Spain this time, my goal was to not travel. Of course, that became quite hard moving to Spain in the middle of a pandemic. I couldn't travel anywhere. So now that the world's kind of opening up, I have been traveling quite a bit more. Obviously, like, you know, we've gone to Turkey and Greece, and that was for work. I'm going to Portugal next month. I went to Sweden last month. In May, I'm going to Greece. So I'm traveling quite a bit more now, and I'm going for like a week at a time, not just a weekend trip. And then we were able to go to England and Scotland as well. So like I'm traveling a lot more than I did the last time when I lived in Europe. But the move to Italy, I would highly recommend it. You know, it's a very difficult thing to move abroad to another country. And anyone, I think, who has the guts to do that, especially like when they don't really know anybody. Like the first time I went to Italy when I studied abroad, I did not know a single person going on the trip. And then we joined the Facebook group. Like I signed up to go on this. It was like, I think the deposit to go on the trip was $800, and then I had to pay another $1,200 for the flights. And then the rest of it was tuition, so I could like take out a partial loan for that. And so I literally, like, I worked as a delivery driver at Jimmy John's before all of this, when I was in college, my first 2 years. And so I put all of my tip money that I made in cash. I had little envelopes that I would segment out, like, you know, I had to pay $400 a month for rent, you know, $100 for utilities. I was saving, you know, whatever it was for this. And I had envelopes that I put each one in. And then anything extra, I would put into a wine bottle that I couldn't access. So I went home, broke the wine bottle open, and I had like literally $1,500 in cash tips. And I was like, sweet, that's gonna pay for the flight. Went and deposited that into my bank account, paid for the flight. I had other money obviously set aside from my regular paycheck, because we didn't make waiters' wages, we made $5 an hour. And then I had other money set aside for that. So then I paid for the deposit, and I was like, I'm going to Italy. Broke up with my boyfriend. Actually, I broke up with my boyfriend a couple months before, but like when I like had been doing all this, like this was in January that I like made all this deposit and stuff, broke up with him. Then I was in a show, and then I went to Italy, and it was like the most transformative couple of months of my life. Absolutely. Like I went from someone who had never been to Europe to someone who was immediately obsessed with traveling and experiencing a new culture. And I went back to school, and those 2 years, or those 2 semesters that I was on campus, I also studied Italian. So that's kind of how I was able to sort of get a foot in the door when learning Italian when I went back, because you have to take a foreign language in school. And yeah, I just really, really recommend the experience to anyone. But to tell you about logistics of how I moved. So you can move for 3 months without getting a visa. So if you just want to go and do like a summer, you got 90 days if you're American or you're British. If you are wanting to stay longer than that, then you're going to have to get a visa. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to have a job before you go, or you're going to have to get like a student visa, or you're gonna have to pick somewhere that's not Italy. There's a couple of countries, I discussed this in one of my last videos, that will do like freelance visas, digital nomad visas. Croatia, Portugal, Germany are all some of those countries that do that. Italy is not. So you're not gonna be able to pick Italy to go there, because Italy wants money put back into their economy. So you have to think of a different way to make money in Italy and also to legally live there. You can always do the student thing. You can go and you can study Italian for 4 months. You do have to pay, that has to be paid up front. So you can't just like go get the visa and then drop out of your classes. You do have to pay for all of it up front. I don't think they'll come and arrest you if you don't show up, but that is something you have to pay for up front. You also have to have a certain amount of money in your bank account, and you have to show them your bank accounts to prove that you're not just going over there and living as a pauper. Again, I think like you had like, I think I had to prove, what was it? I think you had to show like $3,000 a month per month you were going to be over there. And so I was planning on staying for a year. So that was like, yeah, it was like $36,000. I was like, right? Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I was like, I don't have that. So I think what we did was, maybe it wasn't quite that much because I don't remember that much money being in my bank account. Maybe it was like $1,000 a month. And so my dad put in, $12,000 into my bank account. He didn't put in 12,000, but he topped up my bank account so that it reached $12,000. We showed them that statement and then he took it out. I don't think they can arrest me now for that. I don't know how illegal that is, but it's obviously not that strict. It is complicated. There's a lot of steps you have to go through. You have to physically go to the consulate wherever you're from. I had to go down to Miami to get my visa. And they don't do appointments because they're Italian. So you have to go and like get in line first thing in the morning. So like I had to go and stay in the night in Miami before. So there's a whole process and a whole song and dance you have to do. It is possible that when you get to Italy, that's when the fun really starts. Then you have to go to like the Questura and you have to apply for your codice fiscale. And you have to have a sponsor of some sort. Yeah, there's all these weird rules. And you'll kind of figure it out. There's tons of blogs about it online. I've never written a blog about the specifics of it because I still don't understand it. But there are blogs out there that will help you. I think Girl in Florence probably has a really good one. Yeah, they're out there. But anyways, if you're wanting to move to Italy, just know that there's a lot of bureaucracy hoops that you will have to jump through to do it. So that is kind of the story about how I moved to Italy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, it was kind of all on a whim. I didn't really plan it. And you'll learn with my Spain story, I didn't really plan on my move to Spain either. It just also sort of happened. So I think that like the biggest life advice I have is that you never are going to expect to end up in Europe, but sometimes you do. You just gotta find the right opportunities and learn, how to kind of go with the flow. And eventually you'll have a nice apartment in Spain and you'll be happy and you'll be doing what you want to do. But it does take time to get there. So if you guys have any questions about my move to Italy, please let me know in the comments below. Are you thinking about moving to Italy? Let me know that. Or are you moving to somewhere else in Europe? I would love to hear y'all's stories and to hear about how you guys have ventured in your progresses to moving abroad. So looking forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye.